Today, I'm going to talk to you about perimenopause, menopause symptoms, diet, and even share some exercise tips. This is a long overdue video. Many of you have asked me over and over, could you just do a video over pretty much everything, the symptoms, how we know, and kind of some tips into that. And so that's why I'm doing this video. Hi, my name's Michelle Black. For those of you who do not know me, I'm a registered nurse and nutritionist specialized in women's health, hormones, and weight loss. And I help women in perimenopause to menopause lose the weight without dieting. Today, I want to start and let's talk about exactly what is perimenopause versus what is menopause. Perimenopause is basically defined when we start to have irregularities in our menstrual cycle, and that is due to the drop or decline of the estrogen and progesterone that are naturally produced through or from the ovaries. And so what generally happens is as we age or become perimenopausal, the ovaries stop slowing their production, and that's where we start to exhibit these symptoms. We can go into perimenopause or menopause early if we've had an endometrial ablation, if we've had a hysterectomy with both ovaries removed, or we've had chemotherapy or specific hormonal drug that can also alter the hormones that we have. Menopause is actually defined by being without a menstrual cycle for 12 consistent months. That means you've got to go 12 consistent months, not 3 months and a month off and then start back. It's 12 consistent months that you've had no menstrual cycle, so that you know. Often women have no idea that they're actually in perimenopause or even menopause until their hormone levels have actually come back to tell them. You can literally tell just by your symptoms. These are the symptoms that can be the same, whether that be perimenopause or menopause. I can tell you this. The heavier a woman is, or the more body fat that they have, or the more visceral fat around their tummy area, the symptoms seem to be a lot more pronounced and disruptive than a woman who is smaller in nature. Some of the symptoms that are common that you might be experiencing, one or some, could be anxiety or feeling palpitations for no reason, especially about rising, waking up, and then often going to bed. Not associated with any type of stress or traumatic syndrome or anything like that. The next might be hot flashes, night sweats, brain fog, sugar cravings, a lack of libido, belly fat, and waking that just won't budge. This is what I hear a lot from you is, no matter what I'm doing, I just can't get anything to budge. My clothes are getting tighter, or I can't fit in my clothes anymore. And that's the reason why, okay, is that we've had these hormones changing. Now that we understand what perimenopause and menopause are, I actually want to share some of my personal experiences with perimenopause, and I can actually share some experiences of my clients that are perimenopause and menopause. So personally, I am 49 years old, and I can tell you from about the age of about 40, I started to notice the change. The things that I used to could do would no longer work. I used to love cardio, and I could no longer personally do cardio like I wanted to do cardio without the weight gain. I was literally putting on fat with the cardio I was doing versus the weight training. I did some weight training or strength training, but not that much back when I was in my 40s. So that's the first thing I really started to notice. The second thing I started to notice is that I felt a lot more tired, and I noticed that I was gaining weight, even though I had not really had to watch my weight since I had lost my weight from way back when. And what I noticed is I used to get to snack and eat a lot on processed foods, or what we call junk foods, and it didn't really matter. But coming into perimenopause is a huge huge difference. And I'll tell you, I know why this is. The more processing the food has, or even junk food, or technically hormone disruptors, they raise our insulin levels. And when we raise insulin levels, we raise cortisol levels. And when we raise cortisol levels, we decrease our estrogen and our progesterone, because it's a lot of stress on the adrenal glands. Something I can give as a tip is to really strive for your high nutrient whole foods, your complete protein. So things like chicken, pork, tuna fish, seafood, versus lunch meat, pepperoni, and the protein found in these types of chips that you see on the market. You're really striving for whole quality, high nutrient proteins so that it can help your body produce most of the hormones, which is what proteins do. The next, you want to strive for high nutrient carbohydrates. And when I say high nutrients, I mean whole foods, things like a sweet potato, a white potato, quinoa, whole grain breads, versus chips, low calorie snacks, even a lot of fruit. We have to be very careful with our sugars in perimenopause to menopause. Though fruit is high nutrient or considered healthy, it has a lot of nutrients, but a lot of fruit has a lot of sugar. And so I would also encourage you to start tracking your nutrition so that you can actually see how much sugar are in your foods, how much fats are in your foods, how much sodium is in your food. So tracking has been a game changer for not only me, but also my clients. Next, I want to share some tips as far as exercise. I mentioned back in my 40s, I had to flip that game from doing a lot of cardio to really changing that up. As we are now in perimenopause, the body works in a different way, and we have to be very careful not to stress out the adrenals. And a lot of physical activity or high intensity training for too much of a time can actually lower your hormone levels even more, disrupting your hormones across the board, even your testosterone levels, lady. I highly suggest strength or resistance training. If you haven't even started, I'd start with something like a couple of times a week for something like 15 minutes. And then over time, increase your endurance up to 4 times a week to around 30 minutes. And that's a good amount of time that it's not too much stress on you, and you're not going to require any type of cortisol blocker to be able to keep your cortisol levels down. As far as cardio, I would really steer clear of cardio unless it's short bursts of high energy, such as cycling. You can do sprints if you want to do just high intensity interval training, but no more than 15 minutes. And then really work on incorporating some just light walking. Walking has shown that it will lower your cortisol and insulin levels. And when we lower these specific hormones, we actually increase our insulin sensitivity. And that is going to help our body metabolize or break down the foods that we're consuming versus not walking. Generally, I will walk 30 to 40 minutes just walking 5 to 6 days a week, in addition to the light training as far as weight. I think walking is very, very important, really, to just lower those cortisol levels. And studies have even shown if you will walk after a meal, that it will lower your blood sugar as much as 30%. That is huge. Something else I want to share with you is, we've talked a little bit about the perimenopausal and even the menopausal symptoms. They're often the same. Women can't differentiate one from the other than she's having her cycle. But what I want you to know is eating the right foods together at the right time can actually alleviate and even reverse a lot of these symptoms. I have a program called Nutrition for Life, and this is where I take ladies just like you who are struggling with the belly fat, the anxiety, hot flashes, night sweats, sugar cravings, and just can't figure it out. And I take you step by step and help you follow through so that you not only reach your goal, but you reach your goal without frustration. If this video resonates with you and you feel that you're really struggling, I'd love to support you. You can book a call with me, and you can find the link below in the description. And be sure to watch the next video on